It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake Mckeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. Right at the midway point, if you will, in the week. Normal show for Andrew and I, but we have a special guest here, Mincy. Mincy, how are we doing today?
Doing well. I was just talking with y'all backstage before the show, and I definitely went on a whole thing about the Ole Miss Florida game thinking we were on air, but you know, what are you going to do? But I'm in the Barstool Chicago office still. You know, despite my reputation, I'm known to stay around here late, be a great company man, and just watching the SEC tournament just like y'all are. I will say I've gone to Hoover like this is the first year I hadn't gone since I think like 2021. So, you know, I'm missing it. My Louisiana buddies do a huge tailgate out in the left field parking lot every year, like crawfish bowl. They go all out. So a piece of my heart's in Hoover, but we're doing good.
Yeah, unfortunately, like most average LSU fans, you actually had to work this week, so I had to take off from Hoover. You were talking about it backstage. We got a big one tonight, Ole Miss taking on Florida, both two aces going, if you will. Who do you think has the advantage in that one?
Well, Florida's hotter than a pistol coming in. But, man, I will say Hunter Elliott, he kind of during the middle part of the season for Ole Miss was going through. He was battling a lot. He was kind of having some trouble with his command. He was walking a lot of guys. And so he's still pitching pretty good, but like a lot of 5-inning, 2-3 runs kind of outings, not pitching deep into games. But he's since the last probably 4 or 5 weeks, he's been on one. And he went 7 innings scoreless against a great Auburn offense last week. And the thing about Hunter Elliott, you got the postseason experience from him winning all those games when he went 5-0 in the NCAA tournament when Ole Miss won it in 2022. So I feel good about it with him going. Liam Peterson's certainly a very talented arm for Florida, but Ole Miss lit him up in the first game in Oxford. He had his worst outing of the year. So I feel good about the pitching matchup, but like Florida was 1-11 in the SEC and they finished 14-4. So, certainly, not an easy one. Gambling wise, I'm slamming under 11 with the two aces pitching. I like the
under. It's going to be a late one at the Met as this Oklahoma and Georgia game is really not really cruising along at a fast pace. You mentioned that was kind of when Florida kind of started to figure it out, as they took that one from Ole Miss. I do have a question for you. Do you see any signs of Ole Miss making a run here with the staff that they have?
I think it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't think this is like a national championship team, but I think if you get the right draw and things broke right, they could make Omaha. I think it's possible. Like having a Friday night guy in Hunter Elliott that's done it in the postseason, I think he's a super legit ace. Your 2 and 3 starters, Ollie Maddox and Mason Nichols, usually one of them pitches real good and one of them struggles. It's kind of been up and down. But Mason Morris out of the bullpen's an absolute stud. And I think that gives them some hope. And then the lineup is pretty good. I mean, I think when I went into the season, look, Ole Miss had 2 horrible years after the national championship. They were picked to finish 14th to 16. I said before the year, I was like, this is a back to respectability year. They're going to make the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to be like a medium 2 seed to like a high 3 seed was my prediction. And they've been even better than that. They're number 18 right now. They finished 16-14 SEC. So I think there's a lot of real positives. And I think a lot of it just depends on their draw in the NCAA tournament. And, y'all mentioned off the air right now they're projected to go to Hattiesburg to play Southern Miss. And I know Southern Miss is extremely hot in Sunbelt, but, Ole Miss is never going to be scared of playing Southern Miss. So that would actually probably be kind of a favorable draw if that happens.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of bad blood as Southern Miss split with that series. And then obviously the Bufferis Trophy getting snatched away from Luke Hill. I mean, what's been, I guess, the secret that you've seen with Luke Hill? It feels like he's taken a ton of steps forward just from a confidence standpoint.
I think a part of it, I interviewed him earlier this year, and when he came to Ole Miss, he had a great freshman year at Arizona State and came to Ole Miss, and he was hyped as like the next big Ole Miss shortstop. And he walked in with a ton of pressure. I think he felt the pressure, was really struggling. He was making some errors. He didn't hit as well early. He kind of came on later in the season. Well, he's coming to this year. He's not playing short anymore. He's playing third. They're moving around. And I think he's just more relaxed because he doesn't feel as much pressure. But, man, he's been hitting like crazy all year. And he was great his freshman year. He had like 20 or something at Arizona State his freshman year. I mean, he's a great player. I just think he kind of had some problems early in the season, maybe adjusting to SEC and putting pressure on himself in his sophomore year. The old sophomore slump.
Yeah,
But,
he's had a ton more protection, I think, in that lineup too as well. Humphreys had a really fine year coming over from Louisville. Federico's breaking out, if you will. But I did have one question before we move on and talk to another team. Do you think that they should retire the bleach blonde shortstop curse? Because they didn't really have it last year.
It kind of got Owen Pano, the freshman, this year. He was supposed to be the next big shortstop, and he struggled a lot. And luckily, they got Ching, the transfer from Western Illinois, somewhere in Illinois. But he's been really good, and he's good in the field, and he kind of finds a way to get on base at the bottom of the order. It's kind of stabilized that position. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a long tradition, so I guess not. But it does seem like, looking at it, that there's a lot of those Ole Miss bleach blonde shortstops do put a lot of pressure on themselves a little bit.
Maybe the fix is, I guess, everybody doing a bleach blonde hair, like the Texas playoffs, if you will. So that would kind of get the curse off of it. But, we had a very late night last night and then an early morning. Did you get a chance to watch any of that A&M Mississippi State game this morning?
Yeah, so this A&M thing's got to be discussed. I don't know, man. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I mean, they were 1-9 when they got no hit by Liam Doyle in Tennessee, 10-0. Season's over. They're preseason number 1. Season's over. And then that Saturday, they come out and they beat Tennessee 9-3 and 17-6. And I was like, man, I've seen this before with Ole Miss in 2022. I was like, these guys are back. And I actually took them at 55-1 to win the national title that Tuesday, trying to buy in on them. They go win 2 out of 3 at Arkansas. They win 2 out of 3 at home against LSU. I mean, they got swept at Texas, but every game was a 1-run game. I was like, man, these guys are really playing good. And I don't know till the end of time what happened in that Missouri series. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, Missouri gets swept in 9 SEC series this year and sweeps A&M on their home field, including that game where A&M blew like a 4-run lead in the ninth. And I just don't understand what happened.
It was, I think, the most confusing thing because they haven't won a single SEC game out their season's done outside of that weekend. It was a bullpen with like a 15 ERA that was just shoving it down A&M's throat. Like, have you ever seen anything like that in any collegiate sport where it's just like the most mind-boggling thing?
I mean, yeah, like, sure, baseball, you win 1 on the road. Maybe that happens. Maybe you get lucky and you win 2. But to sweep them and kick the crap out of them on Saturday and Sunday like that just blew my mind. I mean, I'm a gambler. I look at the lines. Dude, A&M was minus 1,600 in every game that weekend. Even Sunday, they were minus 1,500, and Missouri was plus 900 when they'd won the first 2 games. If you would have just taken Missouri every game and you could have made a fortune. And then A&M lost 2 out of 3 at Georgia, which is obviously no shame in that. But, like, they're 11-19 in the SEC. I mean, they got to win the SEC tournament. No SEC team's ever made the NCAA tournament at 11-19. 13 is always the magic number. You get to 13, which Kentucky got to. I think they sneak in. But 11 wins has never gotten in. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Like, A&M just getting to the championship game even get them in? I mean, I think that'll win this thing.
Yeah, and their RPI is not exactly high either. That's the other thing.
When you get swept by 27 teams, I think their RPI dropped like 50 spots that week.
Yeah, it's down near the 50s, which is right near Virginia, ironically, who's another team that's had a very disappointing season. But you mentioned Kentucky. They're sitting at 13 wins, which gets you in that 70% range, if you will. They get swept by Vanderbilt, and then OU beats them yesterday. How do you feel about their tournament chances? Because I feel like they're going to be having a sweaty time this week.
I think they're going to get in because the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt with how strong a league it is. I know Kentucky doesn't have like the best non-conference schedule because they play like a lot of those like Ohio and Indiana schools, kind of that region. But I still am inclined to think that if you win 13 games in this SEC, you get in. And, I could be naive and be dumb, but I got to see it to believe it on them not getting in. Because
it's definitely kind of an argument where you can really go either way with it. There's the anti-SEC crowd that thinks that we're on some kind of pedestal that, 13 wins doesn't get you anywhere else. But the flip side of that is they have some really high-quality wins. They went and beat A&M on the road. They beat Tennessee.
They won that series at Tennessee.
Yeah, and they're a weird kind of gimmicky team in a good way too as well. Have you seen some of their dugout antics that they've had this year?
Yeah, well, that Kentucky Ole Miss series, I don't know if you watched any of that series, man. They were really getting into it. Ole Miss trolled them real hard when they won that last
Is that
game.
when they were doing the dance?
Yeah. Yeah, that series. But Kentucky, I think the world of Nick Mingione, because you're looking at a school that doesn't have a big tradition. I mean, they were the number 2 national seed last year and got to Omaha, and they're kind of like a West Coast team playing in the SEC. You know, you see a lot of small ball and bunting and pitching and defense, and they just grind it out. And they beat you 4-3 or 5-4. But to be able to do that in the SEC is, you know, people have criticized me because I thought Mississippi State should look at him with him being a former state top assistant for a long time. And people are like, oh, no, that'd be an underwhelming hire. I'm like, what? He just got Kentucky to be the number 2 national seed in Omaha. You know, he's a winner at a school that has no baseball tradition. I mean, I know they have a pretty good ballpark and fan base. I don't know. I thought that was – I felt like people were slighting him and not respectful enough of what he's done up there.
Yeah, you mentioned Mississippi State. They dropped that one to A&M today. Justin,
they're
15
fine. 15, they're in. I can't see them not at 15-15. You know, they've played well. And that's another one. Look, Kyle Peterson was super outspoken against it. I was outspoken when they fired Lamonis. Look, I mean, the fans wanted him gone, and they all came at me, and I was just like, look, you have to let the dude finish the season. He won your only national championship in school history 4 years ago. And, you know, as bad as this seems, last year they were a 2 seed and almost made the Super Regional and that Virginia Regional. They got to the regional final. So it wasn't like they stunk last year. So I was like, you know, at least wait till the end of the year. But, you know, look how well they've played since they moved on, since they got Parker, the interim, in there. You know, winning 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss, and they swept Kentucky. And, you know, I know they got smoked today, but I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, 15-15 in the SEC. I mean, I think they're a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, but I think.
Do you think Lamonis would have won a series at Ole Miss, series hosting Ole Miss, series hosting Kentucky, and then Missouri? Because I feel like those are kind of overrated wins when you really kind of dig deep into them.
Well, the thing with the Ole Miss Mississippi State series is Ole Miss has a horrid history in that ballpark. I mean, like, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, did Ole Miss? I mean, they finally beat Mississippi State in a series last year in Oxford. It's the first time they beat them in a series since like 14. I mean, it's just like one of those matchups where it's brutal because, you know, you lose rivalry so much. But I wasn't surprised when Ole Miss lost 2 out of 3 there, just with that history. You know, there it's just a tough spot for them. But I still got to give them credit for sweeping Kentucky, and, you know, maybe those are a little bit overrated wins. But it kind of, you know, the interim thing, you see this in football too. A lot of times getting the interim in kind of gives a little boost when you need it. You know, I don't know if it works long term, but it clears some bad blood, kind of, you know, gets the attitude a little different. It feels like that's kind of what's happened. And I'll mention it, Ace Reese, that third baseman's a dude.
He's an absolute stud.
Dude, serious baseball player, man. Should be right at the top of the SEC Player of the Year stuff.
Do you worry then that Mike Bianco has a losing record to every single Mississippi State coach that he's played against?
I mean, I know that it's gone rough for the Rebels, but on that, and I don't like love that, but, you know, I mean, I think when you look at the big picture of the Mike Bianco era, you're talking about, you know, I got to school there in 2001 after he got there in 2000, and you had 200 or 300 people going to baseball games at the beginning of it. And he's built the entire program and stadium and recruiting every year, whether it be NIL or high school. He continues to do real well. I mean, obviously, those are 2 really, really rough years after the national championship. And the national championship season, I mean, getting the 64 spot, you know, was crazy. But look, Bianco's the guy. He won the national title. He built that program. You know, you're not going to hear a bad word about him from me going forward. He can coach there as long as he wants.
That was the year you went to Red Rocks during Omaha, correct?
Yes, it was. Because Ole Miss made the national championship on the Thursday, and the game wasn't until Saturday. So I flew to Denver and went to Red Rocks Panic Friday and then flew back. And then also a cool story from that. Man, I can't even tell you how full circle and crazy it is to have Tim Elko up in Chicago now playing for the White Sox, because me and him have been good friends since 2020, since I got hired here. And I remember I got a pick. I was hugging him on top of the dugout in Omaha when Ole Miss makes the national championship. And then I got to sit with his family for his first 2 major league games last 2 weekends ago. And I got a pick with them on the field. And it was just like, what a full circle, cool journey. And just the fact, like, what are the odds of us both being in Chicago? It's crazy. And one of the best things I've ever seen was the Mother's Day game, the Sunday game. I went and I was sitting with his parents, and we all bet on, well, not his parents, but everybody else there. We all bet on Elko to homer at plus 750. And he gets up there, and it's a 3-run shot to win the game on Mother's Day. And his mom was crying in the stands. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's one of the coolest things I've ever been part of.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I was
awesome.
gonna ask. I was gonna ask how awesome it was. You're seeing Tim Elko, he represents everything that Ole Miss World Series squad, and playing on a torn ACL, rehabs from it, gets drafted, and now seeing him succeed with Chicago is just unbelievable.
No, it's the best. And this White Sox deal is a fun kind of thing. So I grew up in Louisiana. I went to Ole Miss. I've never had a favorite pro baseball team. It's not like I'm anti-MLB. You just, when you grow up in those states, and y'all know what it's like, the college team's your major league team. That's the one you're associated with, and that's what you care about. And so I've never had a favorite pro baseball team until the moment Tim Elko got called up by the White Sox. Now I'm it. And man, these White Sox games, it's like going to a college game. Dude. You walk up to the game, you just Uber there. You walk up to the game and buy a $10 ticket. You go sit fifth row behind the home plate. They don't care, And so it's I think you're going to see me at 20 of those a year going forward.
Yeah, me and Jake, we were covering the Tennessee LSU game, and we literally brought it up to a couple LSU media members and staffers. Since there's no pro baseball in Louisiana, and even with Tulane with the history they have, they don't even draw a good crowd in New Orleans. We said to LSU, it's this is a minor league team, and just the whole city and the whole state flocks here for the weekend.
Yeah, I think the same thing can be said for University of Arkansas, University of Tennessee. You see it at Ole Miss, Mississippi State. You see it even at Southern Miss with their fan bases. These schools that don't have pro teams, college is the pro thing. And Alabama's like that too. And I think that's part of why you see these crazy crowds, because that's what people do. If you don't have a pro team, you go to college games. And, I think that's there's a direct correlation there.
So you've been obviously to a ton of SEC stadiums. What's been your favorite SEC stadium that you've visited?
People are going to rail me for this, but dude, the dude in Starkville is the best ballpark I've been to. And people could say whatever. And, I've been to, I love Swayze Field in Oxford. I've been going to games there since, 2001. And it's a beautiful ballpark. And I'm part of the left center field tailgate, and we grill out, and it's the best. But man, that ballpark at Mississippi State is on a different level. That thing is insane. And so I'd say that's the best. I have not been to Baum Walker, which is terrible. I'm so overdue a Fayetteville trip. I'd like to go sit in the hog pen there, check that out. So I can't judge that one. I've been to a ton of games at Alex Box. I think the thing with Alex Box, I don't actually think it's the nicest ballpark of all time, because they kind of built it in 2005. And there's a lot of metal bleachers. But man, when those LSU fans get turned up at night for what you saw the Tennessee game with Bear Jones at the walk-off at 1:15 in the morning, that's the stuff that only happens with LSU sports. The stuff that happens with them, I don't understand it. I've said for a long time that God is an LSU fan in football and baseball. They pull games out of their asses that, they year after year, they win all these games. You just have no idea how they win. And it just doesn't make sense. But,
so who's God hate the most then? If LSU's who he loves, who does he hate?
I feel like he doesn't like the Arkansas Razorbacks very much. Because how have they not won a national title with that? They've been unbelievable. Every single year. Because look at even Ole Miss wins the title, bad 2 years. Mississippi State wins the title, bad 2 years. LSU was pretty good last year, ended up in a regional final, but they were on the bubble the whole year. Arkansas is really good every freaking year. Every year. There's no fall off. They're a national seed or a regional host every year. And then what happened to them in 2018 when they dropped that foul ball, that should have been their title. But to be as good as they've been every single year, and they've made Omaha a ton, the fact they don't have a title is, I feel like that's tough. Because, they have had elite teams. And then you look at this year's team, because the last few years, Arkansas's had the great pitching, but the hitting's kind of fallen off. And this year with those Aloy brothers, they can mash.
I do want to ask you, can you pronounce their names? Because Andrew and I just completely
butchered the Aloy brothers. It's bad.
Yeah, the Aloy Smash brothers.
The Bang brothers.
I think they're so legit this year. But, I would have never thought they'd have lost that regional last year. But Hagen Smith was basically Paul Skeens the entire season, and he has one bad game when he blew up in the 5th inning against Kansas State of that regional, and then next thing you know, they got bounced. But I think they're really good. I know they lost some series this year, but I still think they lost 2 out of 3 at Florida and Georgia and home day, and I still what they did to Texas a couple weekends ago.
That was a good one.
That was a real serious deal, sweeping them.
I think they're the best team in the country still. And that's after seeing them drop 2 out of 3 to LSU.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think LSU this year, it's going to be hard to see them not making Omaha with being in the box and that home field advantage and just having that 1-2, Akeda Anderson and Ianson, and in a super regional, that's going to be awful tough to beat. I do think they're, they don't have, they're definitely not the 2023 team when you have freaking Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. You have two of the best players in college baseball history. But I do think they're very good, and I think they're strong Omaha team this year.
So you had a very famous video where Dave wore all the Arkansas gear and then they lost. Yeah. What did he do with the Arkansas gear after they lost? Did he throw it away, burn it?
I have no idea what he did, but that was only my first year at Barstool, so I was still very uncomfortable. And so when Dave's trolling me and I lost him all this money, I'm just getting rained on Twitter. I wasn't used to dealing with it at that point, and so it was a lot. But now that we're in year 5 and we've gotten rained on in about every way possible, the skin's a little thicker and we're good.
So there's a big one tomorrow with Tennessee and Texas. Who do you have in that one?
Liam Doyle's going. I like Tennessee. I think when you look at, I think like you said, I think Tennessee off the win today. They're probably hosting now anyway, but they got a lot to prove this week. They kind of fell off toward the end of the year, lost some series. The SEC tourney is always an interesting deal because sometimes a team like Texas, I know they want to play well in the SEC tourney because it's their first one ever, and I get that. But they're already, a top 3 national seed. They went 22-8 in the conference. They've got key injuries right now. Obviously, they lost Stevens, the lefty ace, but Bellew's supposed to be, he's been taking batting practice. I don't know if he's come back this week, but I think he's going to be back.
He played last week.
He played last week because I knew he was.
He had a hand issue, I believe.
Okay, well, I just don't know. I mean, Texas is going to care, but I don't think it's a big deal if they lose to Doyle tomorrow at all and just rest their pitchers and get ready for the regional.
They love to strike out, and Doyle loves to strike people out. So it's
this Doyle year is crazy, man. I mean, he was Ole Miss's number 2 last year, and he flashed, but he had a 5.40 ERA. The way he's emerged this year, he strikes out 1.8 guys an inning.
Yeah, it's insane.
Well, does anyone remember what happened the last time he pitched in Hoover?
I was there, and he allowed that walk off to Mississippi State.
I remember watching that game. It's just my jaw was on the ground. I think
I had a video go super viral when it happened.
I think he's due for just he kind of had a stinker last week against Arkansas. I think he's going to dominate this Texas lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, I like Tennessee in that game.
Yeah.
Do you have his prop for strikeouts tomorrow? What it is?
I hadn't seen it yet, but I bet the over is not low.
That's a hammer the over.
Well, Louisiana doesn't have college player props anymore, thanks to Mr. Keishon Butte.
Yeah. They have them in Illinois though.
Yeah.
Except for up here in Illinois, you can't bet Northwestern Illinois or local games.
What do you think about Auburn, Texas A&M tomorrow? Who do you think takes that one?
Well, I thought, one thing on this A&M deal, I thought they should have got, and I know that maybe it went over, they should have gotten Prager out in the 4th today because they were up 8-0. And if they're going to really make a run in this thing, they need to rest him and have him to pitch Friday against LSU or do something. I thought they might have made a mistake leaving him in too long. But
they do have no bullpen, though, and that's kind of the bigger issue is that they wanted to save kind of their bullpen arms. And
I think Auburn's got a good. A&M's got a good shot against Auburn. Auburn's had a great year. They hit real hard on the 2 starters in the transfer portal because everybody knew they could hit going in. But I wouldn't be shocked if A&M won tomorrow. I don't think they can beat LSU on Friday and Akeda Anderson, but I think they got a good chance tomorrow.
What about the winner of this Georgia OU game versus Vanderbilt? Do you like Vandy with the extra rest, or do you like whoever comes out of this OU Georgia game?
I kind of lean. So the thing with Georgia this year, great team, one of the best lineups in baseball. Maybe not super elite pitching, but it seems like whenever they face good aces, it's a little bit of their kryptonite. They've struggled on those Fridays against good, the top pitching. What do they always say? Top pitching beats top hitting. And I feel and Vandy's got a good staff. So I think I would lean Vandy against Georgia. Did they throw? I'm not watching the game. Did Oklahoma throw one of the Witherspoon brothers today?
Yeah. Kyson started.
They're up 3-1. They just scored 2 off of
off of a ground out. It looked like Talkie got hurt again. His ankle. He was limping off the field.
Yeah, I kind of wouldn't be shocked if Georgia did the one and done here either, because I mean I think they're top 8 national seed already.
And they've never won Hoover, and they've been 30 times. I thought that was just a crazy stat. That they've never
Hoover
won.
thing's kind of weird though. Certain
3
schools
times.
do well year after year, and certain don't. Like LSU always crushes.
Yeah, like they showed the stat that Maneri, well, obviously last night ruined it, but he had won more times in Hoover, the whole thing, than he did not winning it, which is just an unreal stat.
Yeah, LSU always. I don't know. I took LSU to win it but I mean now they're 4-1 and they're the favorite, so it wasn't like that was some groundbreaking pick by me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You did have that famous video too with the Vandy Whistler and Hoover. Was it the nicer Vandy Whistler, or was it the other Vandy Whistler? Because I found out that there's 2 recently.
It was the second one. Yeah, that video was wild, man. I went and got his face. That was probably I've had some great Barstool moments, but that was gotta be one.
Would you do it again?
Man, I did, but then he like offered an olive branch and was like trying to be friendly, and I should have swatted his hand down and been like hell no. But I kind of froze because I was like, what? I thought he was gonna get my face, and then he was nice, and I don't know. I kind of bitched out a few times.
Have you been to a Vandy game yet? Like at Vanderbilt?
No, but I've been to Vandy Ole Miss games in Oxford a few times. I've been in Omaha. I've seen plenty of the Whistler.
So right now, as of 5/21, who's your pick to win the national championship?
Man, I like he said it, but I don't know, man. I feel like Arkansas has got to do this thing at some point. And
I feel like it's just, like you keep busting on 15 and you're still hitting it. Like law of averages says you're missing.
No, they've been so good for so long, and then they got the firepower. I mean, they've had the arms. Nobody's questioned that. But I think they got the firepower in the lineup this year. I think LSU's got a shot just because I think LSU's like a lock to make Omaha with that 1-2 in that ballpark. But I think Arkansas's got, better hitting. But you know how the college baseball tourney is, man. No one knows anything. I mean, I know last year Tennessee was the best team, but, anything can freaking happen in this thing. I mean, you can make an argument probably for 10, 12 teams. Who do y'all think of non-SEC who has the best chance?
Oregon State, just from like a story standpoint, with them being, kicked out of their conference, I think is a good one. Florida State with the Tornadoes, because I always kind of look for like a story.
Well, I like Florida State because they got Link Jarrett. I think he's just an unbelievable coach.
Link Jarrett could
like their bats.
He could sell sand at the beach. He's just an incredible coach.
No, I think they got a shot, but I don't think any of the Big 12 schools really have a shot this year.
No, I don't. It's kind of sad what Big 12 baseball is kind of become.
I know it's disappointing, because you've got some pretty traditional powers there, and like Oklahoma State and TCU, and Arizona's always good too, but it just doesn't feel like they might sneak one team into Omaha, but I don't think anybody's got like a real. I mean, I think we're headed for another just SEC dominant Omaha here. I mean, last year
TCU sneaking into Omaha, but it's been a down year for the Big 12. It feels like time's running out for some of those coaches.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think SEC had 4 in it last year, and I think 4 or 5 are going to make it this year. Man, it's just such a deep, dominant league, and I think that's what's coming. And then it's people can hate on the SEC all they want. They win the title every year. I mean, the last time they didn't win it was Oregon State in 2018 when Arkansas should have won it. Should have won it. But I mean, since then, I don't know. I mean, it's almost like I'm at a point where I just got to see somebody else win it to believe it.
What do you make of the Big 12 moving the tournament out of Arlington into Arizona? Do you agree with it or disagree with it?
I think I disagree. But I mean, I understand you got to change it up, but they still have so many of those Texas schools, and Texas loves baseball. And as good as Arizona's program is, and Arizona State has tradition too. I mean, neither one of them draws crazy. They have good traditional winning programs, but I don't know. I just feel like that money making wise, maybe not the smartest move.
Yeah, and I don't think being in Arizona in May outside is going to be a lot of fun either.
No, the weather was nice. We had a big DraftKings bet gala there a couple weeks ago, and it was still nice.
It didn't get unbearably hot yet.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was cool.
Last one before you go. You're kind of been a mainstay at Omaha, if you will. What's your favorite steakhouse in Omaha?
Ooh, I like Drover's a good bit, that whiskey steak. I just think it's kind of unique. I know that's touristy a little bit. But I think that's the one I would say it stands out. It's just like a cool, unique place. And, I still, if Ole Miss makes it, I'll go. And if LSU makes it, maybe. The thing is, I'll say, like, Omaha, there's nothing like it. I think it's like an American treasure, especially the night games, because it's hot as hell during the day. But the Chicago deal, you just suffer for 7 months because of the weather. And it's like, I don't want to leave. It's like really good.
So you're going to do the gambling then, do you think, again, with the
Yeah,
College
well,
World
I got my buddy T-Bob Abears up here. We just hired from, I'm sure we'll be watching some LSU games together.
Am I allowed to curse?
You can say whatever, man.
Fuck
Yeah,
Ole
well, you
Miss, dude. Let's go. Fuck Ole Miss. I'm just kidding. What's up, y'all?
T-Bob's
But
first
actually,
day at Barstool.
I'm kind of not kidding, though. Fuck Ole Miss. But what's up, y'all?
Wait, can I ask Bob about the Mississippi State?
This is College Baseball Central, big baseball guys.
What's up, boys?
Who's your pick for the College World Series winner?
I mean, so college baseball is one of those sports where you can't come to me for objective analysis because I just watch everything through like an LSU baseball lens, right? Like I'll watch the occasional game that LSU's not involved in, but nah, I watch it purely as a fan, just to like live and die on every pitch.
So are you team Kate Anderson or team Anthony Ianson?
I'm team fucking double team me. Give me both. I mean, what do you mean? Why do you got to make me choose between my two boys? I'll take both. And thankfully we have all year long.
What about Jared or Mikey? Who do you think wins in an arm wrestle between those two?
Hey, wait, which Jared or Mikey are we talking about?
Bear Jones.
Mikey Montauk and
Bear Jones.
Bear Jones.
Bear and Mikey Montauk?
Yeah.
Given my age, I'm going to go with my fellow old head Montauk. Also, given his family's football background, but I gotta say, Bear looks good in a uni. I love the lower half of Bear Jones. I mean, just thick and muscly. Fucking love it,
dude. That homer against Tennessee was I watched it like 100 times.
That thing was sick.
And,
and then he had the 1:30 a.m. Tag up.
Yeah,
to win,
Arkansas
to win against Arkansas a couple weeks ago, dude.
The funniest part about that was they were so well media trained that by the time he got to us after the walk-off, he was like very professional. And he goes, yeah, like they were good competitors. But it was just like a complete night and day.
The worst part of that highlight, I know everybody pointed out, but was the up getting mad at him. Like, bro, it's 1:30 a.m. and I just jacked a 3-run bomb to beat Tennessee. Let me pimp it a little bit, dude.
And they ran over to the Tennessee bench.
That was just crazy. All right, though, boys. I think it's going to be an awesome week at Hoover. Go Tigers! And I don't know, man. Maybe Jay Johnson can do it again.
Yeah.
T-Bob, I do got to say thank you for your service to Louisiana ESPN Sports. I've listened to you nearly every day for the last 6 years being in school year.
Dude.
So,
okay, hell yeah,
man. For everything.
Thank you, man. I'm very excited. It's been a bittersweet time. I'm super pumped to be here in Chicago, certainly. But I mean,
you got out at the perfect time with crawfish season ended.
Yeah, we're out of school.
And he got to Chicago for summer.
Yeah, a bit of a heady play by me. No, I was just lucky, man. But no, thank you. Hey, Andrew, thank you for real, man, because I fucking love OTB. And it will always be in Whiskey and Wine. That shit will always be in my heart forever. But Flynn and Hester are going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to be
really
awesome.
excited.
And like I said, it's just going to be different, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, boys. All right. Well, y'all have a great night. I'm about to go shower.
All right. Shower's back there. It's back there on the right.
Y'all have showers?
Yeah, we got our plant at T-Bob working the late hours, hitting the Plant Fitness gym. He was just lifting, and I'm about to go run because we're on the Let's Get Hot.
In that bathroom, though?
What's up?
Isn't there a camera in that bathroom, though?
There was, but not anymore.
Okay.
Is that where the
I shower in there every day.
The Will Compton bathroom?
No, this is the one. There was like a Yak camera on Big T.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a while. This is T-Bob's first day today, so it's been.
How's Big T been with Tennessee baseball sliding?
He's still fine. They're still good. He's fine. He hadn't been freaking out or anything. I mean, they're still gonna host. Like, I don't know. He's been all right.
The chippiness is back with Tennessee, it seems like.
The what?
The chippiness?
Well, the thing is look, I've said forever, I don't like Tennessee, but I love what they bring to college baseball because the world's better when you got heels. And like back when Vandy was winning it all the time, and like Stanford and Rice, and like they don't have any fans. Like Tennessee's fans, like I mean, they're very annoying, but it's very good for the sport to have. Like they're almost like the Yankees of college baseball in a way, you know. Everybody just hates them so much, and like when you're like that and you win, then it's like a deal. But when you lose, people are just gonna rain on you. I mean,
it's been almost funnier when they do lose because their fans like freak out.
Dude, they're unreal. Like the fan bases like Tennessee and Arkansas are the two I go at it with the most on Twitter by far. Like
Not Mississippi State,
way more than State. I mean, State's fans they'll go at me for sure, but like Tennessee and Arkansas are on a whole nother level.
Who's your favorite?
And I'll say my relationship with the LSU fan base is extremely complicated as well because I came up through there and through ESPN Baton Rouge. And my dad went there, and I grew up watching LSU baseball and stuff. But like, I always tell them to go F themselves anytime they play Ole Miss. And so it's like anytime LSU beats Ole Miss or talks shit and anything, I'm the first person they target because I'm like the Baton Rouge guy that came up. So, I mean, they just come at me like so. It's like I said, it's complicated. But
who's your favorite Mississippi State like Twitter account?
I like Lounge Dog a lot because I just love what he brings to college baseball. Man, he's out there grilling. He supports them on the road. You know, I always, you know, I just really respect how much he loves it. And, you know, he's grilling out and he lives it, man. I mean, he goes on the road, follows him in Texas, etc. So he's, you know, I'm always in his mentions and stuff.
You know, he was actually the reason that Mississippi State lost so many games this year because he was giving away fans food.
I mean, you know, they were clear something was going on, but like they were 7-14 in SEC and ended up 15-15. I mean, I know Missouri was part of that, but you know, I mean, in a year they fired their coach, they're still going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm real curious to see who they're going to hire.
Yeah, who do you think that they go for?
I forgot the Tennessee hitting coach. I wouldn't be surprised if they got that Tennessee hitting coach. That's
Elander.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot with that. People were saying they were trying to get Wes Johnson. He just re-upped with Georgia. That's not happening.
Butch is going to sign an extension at Auburn too, as well.
Yeah. Well, they got money. Both the schools have money. And State too. Like, think about it, man. Like, they just fired a national championship coach in 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's a high pressure job when you're. But the thing is, State will spend money on baseball, so I know they'll get somebody good. And like, you know, if this is the rock bottom of their program, they're still in the tournament. I mean, they're still fine. They just got so much history and tradition.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that Ron Polk still calls their radio games. Like that's
it's a different era in baseball now though, because like you remember like, you know, State came on in the 80s, Rafael Palmeiro and Brantley and Will Clark, but like back then it was like State and LSU and like that was before South Carolina was even in the SEC, but those were the only schools that cared about baseball back then. And now everyone cares for the most part. And so it's just not as easy to dominate anymore because you look at this SEC this year, you could argue that 13 of the 16 teams are, you know, other than South Carolina and Missouri, even A&M is still not that bad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you could really make an argument. I don't know if you can make an argument for Kentucky, but just about everybody else that's going to make the NCAA tournament.
Kentucky is they play that different style and they're annoying to play.
And no one thought they were going to go to Omaha last year either. That's the other thing that's crazy.
No, I mean, I can't believe they were the 2 national seed last year. But it's kind of like SEC basketball is like that this year. They got 14 of the 16 in the NCAA tournament. I think you're looking at, you know, I don't think A&M's getting in, so I think you're looking at 13 of the 16 in baseball. But, you know, it is what it is. This NIL era has made the SEC so much stronger. How much money they spend. And it's also brutal, too, for the G5. Who used to
they're brutal for it.
Yeah. Like, anytime somebody's good, you used to see these teams that would stay together for 3 or 4 years, and you'd have these, like, senior-led teams in basketball or baseball that played together for 3 or 4 years. I mean, the G5 is JUCO now. You know, you do good your freshman or sophomore year, somebody comes in and gives you 6 figures, you're at a school that's only going to pay you $20K, you're out of there.
Even like other SEC schools, like Fisher and Doyle were at Ole Miss last year, and then
I heard some stuff about the Doyle and Fisher stuff just because I hear about Ole Miss NIL stuff, and they thought both of them were coming back, and Tennessee came in and like doubled the Ole Miss NIL offer at the last minute. I mean, those guys got some serious cheese for college baseball, and like I don't have the exact number, but I've heard ballpark, and like as bitter as an Ole Miss fan as I am, I don't blame those guys for leaving. I mean, they got paid like double what Ole Miss was offering. I mean, This is, it's capitalism at its finest.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great to see because we get some of these quote-unquote super teams like LSU that, they have 10, 12 guys that they can roll out there. They have 4 aces that they can throw. So for the sport itself, I think it's better. But, yeah, it does kind of hurt for those mid-majors, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does. It's tough. And, it's just the rich get richer in NIL and the poor get poorer. And it's just so, it's just so tough. Like, I mean, how do we live in a world where, like, UL Monroe and LSU are both D1 baseball, I mean, what's ULM got, $50K to spend total? Against LSU's got millions. I mean, like, we got to quit lying to ourselves and saying we're playing the same sport here.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect encapsulation is that, they do release, like, Texas Tech's NIL numbers, that there's probably 7 or 8 guys on Texas specifically that make more than everybody at Texas Tech combined.
Yeah, Texas Tech's spending in football now. They got some oil tycoon that's spending. I mean, they went nuts this year in the portal.
And the rev sharing, I've heard that they're going to spend a lot of rev sharing on baseball too.
Yeah, the NIL thing. I'll say this about LSU because I know I'm pretty close to the program. They were having some weird NIL collective issues at first when it happened because they had like 4 or 5 of them, and they were all kind of fighting for it, and there was like infighting. And like the thing with Ole Miss, like Grove Collective has just been unified the whole time, and so Ole Miss has been like really ahead of it. But LSU's gotten it figured out now. Yeah. And you're going to see that on the football field this fall. Like I think,
I think the Grove Collective
LSU's going to be really, really good in football this year.
And we can thank Dave for that because Dave ignited all of the fan base from Underwood stole him.
Yeah, he definitely did. And then Nussmeier, they said Nussmeier turned down like $4.5 million from Bama or something. I mean, I'm good to see that. You can't buy everybody. I'm sure he got $3 million plus from LSU, so it's not like it was.
Yeah, it's not like LSU. I'm sure Gordon got him hooked up.
Yeah, the LSU thing, they spent it on defense, though. I think you're going to see your first old school LSU defense in a while. But they're 10-1 to win the SEC. I'm looking at it. I really think they're going to be good. Andrew, you're a Baton Rouge guy?
I'm New Orleans.
New Orleans guy? Hell yeah.
Garden District, Tulane, born and bred.
There you go. I used to live really close to Tulane.
Yeah.
I live by Audubon on Benjamin Street.
I'm on Magazine, so.
Nice. I always kick it. Like my buddy's got a house right off Napoleon St. Charles on Bordeaux.
Yeah.
That's where I always stay when I'm in New Orleans. I'm always like running around like Fat Harry's and Pascal's Alley and that whole area all the time.
Well, I was gonna say the one time that I've seen you a bunch in New Orleans. I saw you for the Tulane Ole Miss.
That was the craziest. Like even in my Barstool days, like I've had a lot of crazy fan experience stuff. I've never seen anything like that Ole Miss Tulane game. That was I should have had 10 bodyguards with me. I mean, it was crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. But it was like everybody I know in the world in one place, Like
I saw you like afterwards because I remember being in the car with like my buddies afterwards. They were all Ole Miss fans. They all drove in. I'm so pissed. And then I see you and your buddy walking to your car. I'm like, no fucking way. That's Ben Mintz. And then the second time I saw you, I'm a big Pelican fan too.
Yeah.
When they got eliminated by the Thunder 2 years ago,
there for that.
2 years ago, I storm out of my section, and the first person I see is you and your cameraman, and I'm like, oh my God.
Was that Cruz at the time, Mincy?
We were boys, but it wasn't him at that game. But yeah, I mean, this Pels thing's tough, man.
It's so tough.
I'll be honest, I was a really horrible fan this year because when all 7 of their top guys got hurt at the beginning of the year and they were 5-30, I was just like, I'm
I don't think anybody would blame you for that.
No, I was like, I'm out. Like I'm not going to torture myself anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, but I love going to those games. I mean,
they're fun. Really fun.
They do say. I've criticized the Superdome a lot for this because it's the same organization, but like the vibe in Pels games is so much better than the Saints games. The music, and they embrace the NOLA rap and funk and have bands playing at half, and like the Saints are playing all this heavy metal. I don't know. I feel like it's crazy.
The Saints, it feels like so formal. It's like going to like a really formal football game, and then like Pelicans, they let loose. It's like the whole city comes out, and it helps when tickets are like $5.
Oh, and they were. Believe me, plenty of seats were available this year.
Oh, yes.
And the Joe Dumars thing, I'm pissed. What a lazy hire.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just like I want it to not be a second-rate organization, but it's just I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough scene, but at least you got LSU baseball. Or you're a Tulane guy, so
I do both.
do
So
both. Yeah, well, then you're happy. This is going to be a late night tonight for this Ole Miss Florida, man.
yep.
We got like a bunch of Barstool stuff real early tomorrow. I'm going to try to be old man and stay up for it, but we'll see if I can do it.
They're not doing a watch party for you?
We're not doing for Ole Miss. We're not doing one. This game's at like 9. It's going to start at like 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I did tweet at you that Baylor had Pardon My Cheesesteak as the
I saw it.
concession.
I saw your tweet. Yeah. I retweeted it, and I think Big Catnip saw it.
That was one of the most random things. Which, by the way, it was a good cheesesteak. I don't know if you could pass
They're
that
good.
along.
I've had them. They were selling them at the concession stand at Austin at Texas football games. I got one at the Texas spring game a couple of years ago.
They're legit. I had very high expectations for it, and they met it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting. A lot of the Barstool products are really good. The Stella Blue coffee is awesome. I drink 4 cups of it a day at work. Obviously I'm going to support whatever we do, but we're not selling awful products here.
Yeah, and the t-shirts are probably my favorite Barstool thing.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple ideas for summer shirts. I'm thinking about it. It's going to be a great summer shirt, and then I'm also thinking about a Let's Get Hot shirt, like maybe Let's Get Hot tanks.
Or
I've
don't let the Reds get hot.
I've been on the Let's Get Hot 2025 movement all year. So, we're currently, I'm all pumped. I was lowest weight since 2004 today. So I'm feeling good.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah,
What's been the secret?
a lot. I'm on the keto diet and I'm training for a marathon and I'm lifting weights and I don't drink alcohol. So I don't know what else I can do, but it's good. I feel good.
Would you feel like you could set a personal best for the gauntlet right now with what you're at?
I did pretty good in it. I did a second shot. I improved a lot on it. The last one, I was terrible the first one.
What's the toughest part of the gauntlet, you think?
Well, usually I had a problem with the cornhole. Screwed me at the beginning on this last one. But I'm a terrible shooter. I'm not good shooting. The 3-point shots, that first one, I remember I was throwing some bricks up. But I don't know. It's fun. They keep us busy.
All right, Ben, I really do appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for having me. I love what y'all do for college baseball. I follow y'all, and I just love how we need more inside the game stuff like stuff y'all do. So I think it's great content and coverage, and I'm obviously hoping the Rebs can pull this thing out tonight. But y'all think need to beat Florida and Arkansas to host, huh? If they win those two, they're hosted though. Got to be, right?
I think if they beat Florida today, because Florida's on that hosting bubble. And they would have beaten them 3 or 4 times. So if they win today, I feel like they feel really good.
Well, like that Governor's Cup game is not an SEC game, but it is a win over an SEC team. So if you combine the Florida and the Governor's Cup, maybe is that enough to get them over the hump at 16 or 14?
I would think so. And then they also had that really good tournament at the beginning where they blew out Clemson.
Yeah, 1, 2 out of 3 there. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a good season overall. They had one bad stretch the week they lost to South Carolina, 2 out of 3. But it's baseball, man. Everybody has one.
Yeah, the only bad thing I feel like with them that's kind of their biggest downside is they had those back-to-back road games right at the end of the season, and everybody usually loses those back-to-back road series. It was just that was like their exclamation point at the end. Yeah,
that was good. Beating Auburn 2 out of 3 was big in Oxford last weekend, though.
Yeah.
I just hate that. Oh, they were up 8-3 in that last game. And if they swept them, you get to 17, you're hosting. And then that bullpen blew up real bad late in that one. But, baseball, you win 2 out of 3 against a top 10 team. You got to be happy. If that doesn't make you happy, then you're going to be a miserable human being.
Yeah, you're a cynic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mincy. We'll let you get back to the
hey, what do y'all think about under 11 in this game tonight? I really like it.
Under 11.5?
Yeah, Elliott and Peterson going. I like the under. Elliott's been shoving lately.
I kind of do like that too. I think it's going to be a 4-3.
Yeah, Peterson had his worst outing of the year at Ole Miss in the first one, but I still think that's like an anomaly. He's very talented.
Yeah, and he's been shoving the last month. Elliott, when I got to see him in OU, he was pitching extremely, extremely well too.
Yeah, he's kind of got his goal. He was just kind of effectively wild for a little bit, and his pitch counts were running up. But I think he's been a little more in control lately, and just he's got all the postseason experience already.
Yeah, his off speed flutters is what we've heard from hitters. Is that it kind of just dances towards it gets to the plate. It's been really effective for him, I think.
Well, I'm going under 11 in that game big, and y'all take it easy. Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks.
All right, appreciate it.